My apologies for being slightly late, but I have the commitment of 5 prayers a day. And by the time the class finishes, it'll be the next set of prayers. So, peace be upon you. We will start with some meditation. Begin by taking a couple of deep out breaths. Tuning into every cell of your body and just relaxing the body. Feeling the body come into a space of ease, relaxation, stillness. And by the grace of the posture of the erect spine, completely alert. By coming into the body, we become more attuned to the here and now. The awareness coming into the space, the present moment, the room you're in. And we let go of the inner radio. By becoming aware of the breath. The in-breath naturally bringing vitality, prana, and the out-breath naturally bringing relaxation. But we need to be aware of the breath for these qualities to penetrate into our meditation. But we don't need to force relaxation. We just need to be aware of the breath, and it will start to happen. And we create the intention to not touch the mind. The mind will be there. But our intention is to let go of the past, knowing it's not real, and to let go of our plans and schemes, knowing they're not real. And relaxing into our natural state, like that of a baby, utterly present and alive to the moment. With no interest in thinking. Feel as if you are by the ocean, and your thoughts are like the sounds of a party that you have no interest in, just along the end of the beach. And your breath is like the rhythm of the ocean. Whenever we get distracted by the sounds of the party, the voices, the politics, the nonsense, we feel delighted that we've remembered that we're here to just be at peace with the rhythm and the glory of the ocean of the breath. Waves of refreshment, waves of relaxation. Nothing needs to be done on your part. You're just aware. Only when you get distracted do you bring the mind back. in this state of peace without thinking, but looking, feeling, penetrate into this question: who am I? Look directly. Who am I? Are you your hair? Are you a sequence of thoughts? Are you your bones? Who is the one that is observing your bones, your image, your thinking, and says, "This is me"? Is it the bones themselves looking at the bones? Who is the one reaching a conclusion? What do they look like? Is the one observing thoughts, the body, a thought itself? Look directly. Who am I? whenever a characteristic arises or an answer, is that not observed? Look. And if it is observed, by whom is it observed? Someone else? What characteristics does this observer have? Is it pink? Grey? Is it an emotion? Is it old? Is it 36? 31? Is it an experience you can collect and then refer to as a memory? If so, what are its characteristics that you're referring to? If it doesn't have any characteristics, how can you say it exists as what? Yet you know that you are. Who are you? Penetrate deeply. Look. Don't philosophize. So it's our deepest fortune, while stumbling around like blind toads on the face of this earth, not knowing anything about anything, or why we're here, chasing after albums or getting a good car, so maybe we can drive fast to impress a biological imperative that we have come across the holy teachings of the enlightened ones. And the heart of Buddhist teachings, the core, the essence, the quintessence, the peak, is the Heart Sutra. It's like the very heart of all Buddhist teachings. It's like the middle of the second turning of the wheel of Dharma. Right in the middle of that, the middle way. The first turning of the wheel of Dharma is like the Four Noble Truths. The second turning is the teachings on emptiness, the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. And the third turning is Buddha nature. Right in the heart is this understanding of emptiness, the Heart Sutra. So we'll start each class from now on by reciting the Heart Sutra with a small practice around it to overcome hindrances. And for us, very importantly, changing some of the words that are in the book, The Heart of Wisdom, for a few reasons. One, the NKT is a sixth tradition, like soldiers, making sure everything has to be uniform. Like all the books have to have the same terms, and all the sadhanas have to have the same words and the same terms, and there's no interchange of definitions or things like this. So not only do they concentrate on the finger, but they paint the finger gold and worship it and solidify it, and no other finger is allowed to be used or looked at. And if you even question the finger, the way it is, you get removed. So which is the very essence of what the essence of the Heart Sutra isn't. So it's important that you don't get fixated on some view, because for us, we can't study it as a philosophy. To study it as a philosophy and really attain awakening through the intellect would require probably, like 15 years solid study. Just logic, and understanding the rules of logic and these things. We're going to look at it a little bit like that. For us, we are coming at it from the tradition of Dzogchen. This is absolutely crucial. And you've got to take it into your blood and bones that you are a Buddha. You're not going to create emptiness. You're not going to create consciousness. You're going to discover what is already there. Yeah, so in the presentation with Venerable Geshe-la, he's looking, a lot of it comes from cause and effect. In Dzogchen, there's no cause and effect. And we go to Allah, He is not caused, He is the uncaused. And we go to Buddha nature, it's not caused. When we're studying emptiness, if you take it as a philosophy, you will be in trouble. Yeah, like as a belief. Because nothing can be said about it. It's a mystery. And these are fingers pointing to that mystery. And the fingers themselves, when we get to this level, are very mysterious. And there's many different, hopefully God willing, we will look at different ways of approaching this Heart Sutra, and there's many different ways. And when we go through the stages of emptiness, it's just logic. And someone else's logic can look right at one other time, and someone else's logic can look right at another time, and someone else's logic can look right at another time. And we go into what came first, the chicken or the egg. This very profound understanding that something must come from a cause, the cause must come from an effect, and they cannot find the beginning to that. But God is uncaused. And that's beyond cause and effect. So it's beyond the mind, so it doesn't matter what you think about it, you'll never understand it with the mind. So when we're going through these different understandings of reality, if you take them as a belief, you go, oh no, emptiness is this and that, then you're in trouble. One of these explanations at one point will move something in your consciousness. Something will click and a deeper veil will be unlifted. And the teachings that don't make sense now will make sense in the future, and the teachings that make sense now won't make sense in the future, and they will shift, and you'll have to hear it again and again and again and again. It's like you're on an acid trip. I remember being with my friend on an acid trip and trying to, we were mucking about, but he couldn't decipher the form of this picture. And I was just having to explain it to him for like about half an hour, just having fun. And then when the trip starts to wear off, I'm just pointing at the same thing, then he sees it. Yeah. But the words still triggered his experience of seeing it again. But until the karma was ripe, he couldn't see it. But without the words, he wouldn't see it. And so we've got to understand it like this, and that it might take us 20, 30 years for like really deeper levels of what the words mean to arise in us as a direct experience. But saying the words now is like chipping away. Even though we may not think you're realizing anything, it is something's happening. It's very important when we're studying this and looking into it, we don't get frustrated. Yeah. You just feel blessed to listen to these holy beings explaining the nature of reality as best they can. But it can't be explained. It's really important, you understand? It can't be explained. If you're really intellectual, you can really, like Tsongkhapa, realize emptiness because of the penetration of your intellect. Like really, if that's what you're into, you're probably better off going studying with some geshis. And that's what they do. So, our path is devotion and yogi, like the Dzogchen ways. The Dzogchen ways, like through experience, yoga experience, and the Kagyus to some extent. They just like stop yakking and sit. But our understanding it will help, because we believe in the I so much. And when we're doing these, we're chipping away, like again and again. The Buddha is saying to you, your I doesn't exist. Your I that you're relating to doesn't exist. It seems to exist. And he's going, it doesn't exist like that. It doesn't exist like that. Very importantly, we understand the ladder, the levels of consciousness that we move from. So we cannot, as we've experienced, go directly to the absolute, the transcendent view that we're going to examine. We cannot rest directly in consciousness. Yeah. We cannot practice surrender. Surrender means there's no I there. So this is very important that you understand the Heart Sutra is the essential way to learn surrender. Do not make this a philosophy. Surrender is when you understand you don't exist. There is no one to surrender. You align with the reality that there is no I, and you are thus surrendered to nature. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to surrender. This is, we'll get into the ladder. That's the third rung. It's called will. The bottom rung of the ladder, which is usually called the lower three chakras, is the earth, the body. The body, sex, and will, the ego. My individuated force, my separate self doing things to make things happen, usually motivated by sexual fantasies or the biological imperative to survive or procreate, and a deep identity with, this is me. In the Kabbalah, then it's like the Yesod, the Malkut, is it Malkut? And there's the lower triangle, the tree of life. Yeah, so the energies just go here. The nafs in Sufism, that's the lower self. Dunya, that's how dunya operates. And our society is now run by the kings of dunya. The body, sex, like your sex and your identity around sex is more important than God. It's more important than anything. It's more important than reality. It's more important than wrong or right now. It's, what am I sexually? And whatever your kind of sexual mood is, that's your identity as a being that must be honored. And your will to make that happen. This is the lower. When you operate from the lower, people operate from the lower, then that's all they see. And that's all they see. When they meet the Buddha, they see a body. That's all they see. That's all they can see. The beautiful phrase that Ram Dass mentioned, which is one of my favorites of all time, when a pickpocket meets a saint, he sees only his pockets. Like, we're not even aware of the breath until you're told to be aware of it. People wouldn't even know they have a breath until it's like maybe you learned it in school or something. Then we move up to, and it's like that's like that thinking is in that, just bellows in that realm. And we move up to the heart, emotions, feelings. You seem a bit higher. And people get very attached to an emotional high, right? It's like chasing it down the pub. Just an emotional high. Some empathy, right? And you have that moment where you're empathetic, you're together, you're psychologically like attuned together. It's like the peak of people's lives. That's generally the peak. And they'll talk about when they were young and they had this exciting time together. And the rest of it's going to work, getting money, paying the bills, having the kids, dealing with the wife, occasionally going out and just remembering those good times when you were really having an emotional high. And it's the body, the feelings, and then we can move into the higher mind, which is imagination. We're talking about like this, moving into the realms of starting to attune yourself to your energy body. And it's just not a reality at all, people. The closest you'll get is butterflies in your stomach, but you're still operating in the lower center. And then we move into the transcendent. So we move from the imagination, the generation stage, to the practical methods, completion stage. Yeah. We're directly working with our energy. And then we move into being what's that phrase they always use all the time? It is what it is. It is what it is from the transcendent level, not from the body level that they're referring to. It's like, so we understand this is how the spiritual path is hidden. It's just because all these things function in the body, like these levels. And now we move, these are all us, and we move within them. Maybe if you're on the spiritual path, or even not, someone will have a transcendent moment. Say sometimes looking at the sunset or the moon, and they're just absolutely with the universe as it is in their energy body. No mind. Might last a second. Now, it's very appealing to say, I'm going to pray for the sake of praying. And sometimes we can do it. Sometimes we can sit for the sake of sitting. But a lot of the time, if we're honest, we're operating from our lower center of will, which wants something. It wants enlightenment. And in order to get that, it says that I'm praying for the sake of praying. The will says it. That's how it deceives us. That's how people say go straight to Dzogchen and think they're doing something, but they're just running around in a circle. See, there's a big difference between mindfulness and the witnessing consciousness. Mindfulness is again this forceful effort of I'm watching. So it's still from the place of will. Me, I'm watching to get enlightened, I'm waiting for it to happen, I'm watching. Now mindfulness is a beautiful practice. Your body's beautiful. Sex is beautiful. The will is to do 5 prayers a day is absolutely beautiful. It's so beautiful. You can't bypass that though. Once you've rearranged, the point of the spiritual path is you rearrange our chaotic order of wanting to go down the pub, to wanting cars and things, to wanting correct things. using our will, that because it's aligning with what is truth, it will move us. We will move to the space of the heart, and we'll do it for feelings. Usually the lower motivation are to get laid, right? Especially if you're into yoga. They're all like super body types, and so they can like be appeal. They look attractive, and they're concerned about their stomachs and their bums, and yeah. And you'll go so you can manifest washing machines or whatever it is you want to manifest. I manifested that. Yeah, will, lower center. Then it's come up to feelings. You'll start to sit and pray because it feels great. It feels blissful to be in love. Yeah, it's like much higher. And then you'll start to pray because you're moving it into the energy body, which is like the real self moving into the transcendent. Because obviously your body's not going to do it, is it? Anybody think your body is going to go into God? Your body as you are. So then we're going into these higher realms until we go into this realm that the Heart Sutra is speaking from. There's no I, and all unfolds. That is the space we practice the 6 perfections. And sometimes we do it. We can get close in dance, and we know that the grasping mind comes back. Whenever we have this thing, then it wants to grab onto it. The ability to knock that I away is the understanding of this sutra. The meditations will do. There is no I. There is no I from its own side. It's just a thought. It's just an appearance. If I tell you now, think of purple toads. An image of purple toads arise. That is the same way that your sense of self exists. That you currently have. And the more you understand that, the more when that I tries to come in to take you out of the transcendent beauty of resting in what is, the more it's seen as that. And just disappears again as that. But you're already that. It's just where our attention just goes into this habitual sense of these stages of consciousness. And when you're at the transcendent, then you can move into them. This is Mohammed suggestion. The transcendent, you're just in, yeah, cosmic goo. But then the real transcendent is being able to come into the immanent, which means you can go back into your body chakra, your sex chakra, your will chakra, but it's coming from the space that's transcendent. So the enlightened one appear just as ordinary as you. And then you relate to them as you are. And so it's part of but if you might think, what are they thinking about? And if they tell you they're just being present and thinking, it's like, bullshit. Everybody thinks like me. Isn't it? Yeah. Everyone's a relation to how you are. If you come along to see the Buddha, then you're starting to trust yourself. Because you're starting to see it. You are the Buddha. So that's put in us like a seed. Like that's your fundamental place that we're coming from. We can take it as a philosophical premise. We don't hold on to it. It might just, everything we're doing is uncovering the fact that I'm a Buddha. When you're practicing Tantra, you're imagining what that would be like to be in your energy body. Just that you're a being of light in your energy body and just manifesting through this heap. This heap called the 5 heaps when we get into the sutra. Yeah, when it says aggregate, it says, my lam's like, it's a really crappy upper class translation. Aggregate. He's going, what does that? Who uses that word for the form? It's like you're a heap, like a heap of shit. Yeah. This heap, this pus and excrement inside your intestines, and as soon as the consciousness comes out, it'll start rotting and stinking, and from its own side, it's just this polluted pile. Conscious, isn't it? And it's like amazing. And it's amazing that people will be so blind they can't distinguish between when consciousness is in the body and when it's not. What happens? Yeah, the baby smell won't last nice if there's no consciousness in the form of a baby. Right? The smell is coming from consciousness itself. So it's very important that we understand these like levels in which we move. And it's like, where are we mainly coming from? What am I mainly motivated by? And it's nothing to be like ashamed about or to put yourself down. It's going, that's where I'm currently dreaming like that, but I'm a Buddha. When we practice in Tantra, it's called practicing bringing the result into the path. Like you're practicing from the point of view that you're enlightened. Try it. Just think, I'm enlightened. And if the ego tries to get in, this is the function of the Heart Sutra, to dismantle it completely. The ego just does not exist anywhere. It's just a figment of imagination in my mind, the Buddha's mind, which is pure consciousness. So, again, maybe that means nothing to you, but if you come back in 30 years' time, maybe if you hear that, you'll just wake up. You might be ripe. You might then be a person of higher faculties, and then you just hear you're a Buddha, and you go, yeah. It's like, what else could I be? So we'll give the transmission of the Heart Sutra in conjunction with the practice, which we will do. That's it. I have it somewhere. So it's called the Great Mother. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I go for refuge to the source, consciousness, and its divine names. I go for refuge to the messengers, the realizations, and the realized ones. I go for refuge to the Lama, the teachings, and the community. Through my wholehearted devotion to love and truth, may my full self vanish into the source, and may I be a servant of the divine will. Yahu, Yahu, Yadaim, Yahu, Yahu, Ya Kudus. O Allah and your holy messengers, Lord Jesus Christ, Mohammed, peace be upon him, Lord Buddha, I turn my heart to you and request your blessings. Empower me with truth, wisdom, and insight. Now the Heart Sutra begins. Homage to the perfection of wisdom, the Blessed Mother. Thus did I hear at one time. The Blessed One was residing on Vulture Peak Mountain at Rajagriha, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One rested in an absorption on the categories of phenomena called illumination of the profound. At the same time the Bodhisattva, great being, noble Avalokiteshvara, while practicing the profound perfection of wisdom, looked and saw that the five aggregates are also empty of an intrinsic nature. Then, due to the Buddha's power, Venerable Sariputra asked the Bodhisattva, great being, noble Avalokiteshvara, how should sons or daughters of noble family train if they wish to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? The Bodhisattva, great being, noble Avalokiteshvara, replied to Venerable Sariputra, Sariputra, sons or daughters of noble family who wish to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should see things in this way. They should correctly observe also the five aggregates to be empty of an intrinsic nature. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, and form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, perception, formation, and consciousness are empty. Sariputra, therefore, all phenomena are emptiness. They are without characteristics, unborn, unceasing, without stains, without absence of stains, not deficient and not complete. Sariputra, therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no formations, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no texture, and no mental object. There is no element of the eye up to no element of the mind, and further up to no element of the mind consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, up to no aging and death, and no exhaustion of aging and death. There is no suffering, no origin of suffering, no cessation of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Sariputra, therefore, since bodhisattvas have no attainment, they rely upon and dwell in the perfection of wisdom. Because their minds have no veils, they have no fear. Having utterly gone beyond error, they reach the culmination of nirvana. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times have likewise fully awakened to unsurpassed and perfect awakening by relying upon the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom is the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that is equal to the unequaled, and the mantra that utterly pacifies all suffering. Since it is not false, it should be known to be true. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is stated thus: Tayata om gati gati paragati parasamgati bodhisoha. Sariputra, this is the way a bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that absorption and gave his approval to the bodhisattva, a great being, noble Avalokiteshvara. Excellent, excellent. Son of noble family, it is like that. Son of noble family, it is like that. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught, and even the thus gone ones will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Sariputra, the Bodhisattva, great being, noble Avalokiteshvara, and the entire assembly, as well as the world with its devas, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised what the Blessed One had said. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Allah, Ya Kudus, through the power of your baraka and my contemplation of truth, may my meditation on non-duality and the power of these holy words remove all hindrances and obstacles and bring peace to all. I can't do the practice here just now. So I'll mime it because the baby's here. Allahu, 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 hack. Clap. May all harm from shaitan and jinn be removed. Allahu, 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 hack. Clap. May all diseases and possessing spirits be removed. Allahu, 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 hack. May I be removed from any difficulty. Allahu, 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 hack. May I attain everything I need on the path. Allahu, 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 hack. By these virtues and meditations, may I realize the perfection of wisdom. May I deepen into the transcendent beyond and attain union with the Beloved. May all beings be born from the Blessed Mother and awaken as enlightened beings. Like Sunday school. It's off the charts, right? It's like, what is that? Like, that's the peak of Buddha's 84,000 teachings. And say, Zen practitioners have been trying to unravel that since their whole time. What's going on? You know? So don't panic, don't worry. Just even hearing those words is like a blessed event in your life. And the verses are changed from, so you can go into the book, The Heart of Wisdom, starting on page 141. A method to overcome hindrances. And it's a description of that practice, but I've changed the verses. One, because the NKT's tight as a gnat's chuff. And two, they probably get copyrighted, and they're like that. But us, we're not interested in saying the exact same words, we're interested in the meaning. And we're practicing the Sufi path, and we can bring in these holy words and understand not to operate from the lower center. The center of the visualization, we'll go through the practice. Essentially, we've just, it's horrible, just an indicator for people. Well, I'll mark up the page later, and that's the chapter you can read if you so wish. As we're going for refuge, that's called like the Great Mother. We'll get into that in a moment. So basically, we're going for refuge again to the source, the consciousness, the absolute, the transcendent, that complete faith in that which gives us life, which breathes us, which we can't talk about. That's our main refuge. Then refuge in the messengers, that's the manifestations, the realizations, which is the Dharma realizations in our mind. That's the real Dharma. We're going for refuge too, but that's just consciousness itself, and the realized one. And the Lama appearing as the Great Mother, Prajna Paramita. That was like, instead of Padmasambhava, the Great Mother is the center of our focus. And that is our spiritual guide, appearing like this. And then we generate bodhicitta, but using like different words, with different understanding, different meaning. Generally, in the Buddhist way, there's still that sense of I, like I'm going to be enlightened, I'm going to attain enlightenment, which is important. But when we're going into this, it's the Heart Sutra. It's more important. We understand we're vanishing into the divine will, and then when we've vanished, we will act exactly as is needed to benefit people. And we will, if God wants to give us miracle powers, He'll give us miracle powers, moving through us. Whatever needs to be done. This is where we want to go. That's where we'll be operating from. Our sense of I. And our current sense of I is I'm getting fat. That's our current sense of I. Like, I am fat. Like, I am like, no, I'm this bit of flesh here. Even though this observing self is looking at it, it still thinks it's that. How can this, which is observing, be that? It's like, because I can see this phone, I am the phone. We understand how ludicrous that is, right? There must be someone looking at the phone that owns the phone. And we're so confused that when the phone gets rusty, you think, I'm getting rusty. That's a very confused state of mind. We can see how pervasive ignorance is. It's not easy to get out of it. So Daya means that which is always, and Yakadus is like the holiest of the holiest. Just yeah. You can look at the holy, the allness, like these are very special holy names. And Yahoo. So it's important. Like we're going to Yahoo. Then we're going into the text. Homage to the perfection of wisdom, the Blessed Mother. This is Yahoo. And the other side of it. When we're on one side of looking at things, we think that women are special. Because they create life. So we can go into the Lama Hicks, Lama Bill Hicks. It's too crude to say now to play on here, but maybe we will. It's like for all those women that have children and think their child's special, I just want to let you know they're not. It's gone. I know you think they're special. I'm just telling you they're not. It's like what's special is when a man ejaculates, he lets loose 200 million sperm in one load. He's gone, that's special. It just so happens that one of those 200 million connected. He's gone, what are the odds? It's gone, I've wiped whole civilizations off my navel that have tried. It's like, I've wiped universe, I've let go universes into tissues. That's special. It's going, the Milky Ways have run off me whilst napping, watching Cops. That's special. So, how many women can give birth on their own? How many women can create life of their own volition? None. Anyone, we can get into debate over it if you want. So it's the male that gives you life. So from one understanding, when we're relating to God as the Father, it's higher understanding. We relate to God as the Mother. But generally you have this union that the Mother is the earth and God is the unseen. The male is the unseen. So the male is like, it's like the momentum that starts it, and then the Mother unfolds it all. But of course, if we move in duality, then we're always being problems. The idea that there's like we can separate the father and the mother is a big problem. Duality is a big problem, and we don't understand the non-dual behind it. They're one thing. They can't ever be two. That's what the mind does. It separates things and then puts one higher than the other. Yeah, it's always discriminating, taking. This is what the mind does, separating things out as if they can be separated, as if you can be separated from the universe, as if a man can lead in the dance. Now, for all you women out there, or anyone watches, And if, like, I remember meeting this woman being upset because men lead. Why can't women lead? I thought, but no one leads. So if you're a woman, just try it. The man leads, but you just stand there and don't move. There's no dance, there's no movement, nothing happens. So from one perspective, if you look at it from that perspective, then the women lead and the men follow. But actually, if we check, it's a very beautiful symbol that the man, like the sperm, gives the impetus, and then the woman takes it round, and then it's just the rest of you. It seems like the man leading, but it's not. It's just the woman being receptive to that initial movement. So Yahu is the transcendent. Who is the transcendence of gender? Allah is transcendent of gender, but it has like the male leaning, like in the sense of the union of the two. But there's the male leaning, the unseen behind the manifest. And the who is the complete presence. But we take it from the point of view of the mother, the great mother, Bhagavati. Bhagwan is the male, the blessed one. Bhagavati is like the mother, because all awakened ones are born from this space. Like as soon as you enter this space, you are born as a Buddha. It's called the mother. Yeah. And to represent that happening, that awakening, that consciousness, that aspect of consciousness that gives birth to the Buddha, we visualize Prajna Paramita. And Prajna means wisdom, like this wisdom, realizing the nature of things. And Paramita, like when you say, like when you go across something like the NKT, they always translates perfection everywhere, every single thing. It's like the same word. It's like, but actually, it's a poor translation, according to many translators. And it's that which is beyond. It's wisdom gone beyond, or transcendent. The parameters, it's like the transcendence of patience, not the perfection of patience. The transcendent patience gone beyond, from the space that is the true consciousness, and the patience that then arises from that space, which is complete nature, the natural way of being. That's patience. It's a transcendent patience. So, Prajna Paramita, the perfection of wisdom. And the space, and that gives birth to all Buddhas. It's known as the Blessed Mother. And they always start with a homage. It's homage to your own consciousness that will give birth to your true self. Yeah. So unless you die, you cannot be reborn. It's not that you die, you realize you were never there. It's a big difference. We've got to understand that. And what an amazing thing to understand. It's your birthright to realize that you are an enlightened being. How do you, so all this time you're relating to yourself as this toad. Osho said this thing, it's like you've got rocks on your heart. That's how you relate to yourself. It's like life is this grim struggle with this self-hatred. I'm useless garbage pile. And Buddha is saying that you are divine. That's who you are. You're just not ordering it right. And literally just like imagine that you just focused on the breath for 24 hours. You didn't focus on anything else. You'd be awakened like that. You just can't stop focusing on something else. It doesn't mean you are that. It's just this power has gone wrong that you keep focusing on negative thinking, negative thoughts. I am that. And as we do this text, we go into emptiness. You'll look and go, no, you're not that. No, you're not that. And you'll go, you'll have moments where I'm not that. And then you go straight back in. That'll be like a little dream of bliss. And then you can't believe it. And then the wheel of samsara is very momentous. It's hard to stop it. That's where the effort comes in, the joyous effort. It's like if you have some glimpses, it's like all I'm doing is putting effort into not being effortful. Because everything we do is like an effort. You're putting effort into stopping. It's just like just sit there and do nothing. That's the phrase. Stop doing things. But I mean stop identifying, stop. You know, this talk will finish and be like, oh, you know, and you just go back into I'm rubbish, this identity. So don't worry. Just keep feeling the joy that I'm in a space or a course where I'm going to wipe away the rocks on my heart. And it's going to flower into Bhagavati, the Blessed Mother. I am the Blessed One. This thing in the Book of Love, you know, if you follow what the divine tells you, you pray, yeah, you fall in love with what's real again and again, and you just remember the divine again and again. Zikr, it's like mindfulness of the divine again and again and again and again. Just remember the divine. God says, I will become you. you just remember until yeah, you are it. You see the trick? It's just you're remembering what you are. I will become the eyes in which you see. It's you already are. You just don't believe it. So we know how this goes. We go for refuge, we generate bodhicitta, and then we make requests to be empowered with truth, wisdom, and insight. Then as we recite the Heart Sutra, we try as much as possible just to meditate on it. We'll be talking about it more. As you listen, you just go meditate on it. One thing to note right from the beginning, because people can get confused when there's no eye, no ear, no nose. It means there's no inherently existent eye, no inherently existent ear. It's just not poetical to keep saying not inherently existent. You just said no eye, no ear, no nose. Clearly you've got an eye. It's not inherently existent. And we'll be looking at what that means in the text. Just remember that. You think, oh, it's not nihilism. Emptiness, shunyata, shunya. It's like no thingness. not nothingness, no thing, not, there's no thing, there's no materiality. If you want to look at it, it's very helpful. That's when we're going from the Sufi thing, it's very, very helpful. It's just Allah-ness. Yeah. If you think that Allah is a nihilistic state, you're out of your mind, right? It's the unseen, formless, inconceivable power that creates everythingness. It's just not tangible as something you can grasp onto. And that's you. You're just this wave in that ocean. And after we recite the Heart Sutra, we say the mantra from Al Tayata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisoha. So the Heart Sutra is the condensation of all Buddhist texts, like the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 100,000 lines. I think it's 8,000 lines, 8 chapters, and then this. And then that's condensed into Tayata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisoha, which really condensed into Soha, which really can be condensed into be. It's like Ramana Maharishi, when he signed something, he put a dot. And it's like everything is contained in that dot. And it's the same with Ali, peace be upon him. It's like the Bismillah can be contained into the letter, which is just contained, like the whole Quran is contained into the Fatiha, which is contained in the Bismillah, which is contained into the dot. This young man went off to study philosophy and get all these intellectual stuff. Which, we're studying, getting this intellectual stuff, and he came to his wise father and says, "See that tree over there? Go and pick a fruit from it." And picks the fruit, says, "Cut it open." It's like, "What do you see?" "Some seeds." It's like, "Cut the seed open." It's, "What's there?" It's like, "Nothing." He says, "From that nothing, this tree has arisen, which can bring shade to 1,000 people. Yeah, out of that nothing, the whole universe arises, and back into that nothing, the tree will go and disappear. This is the mystery of life." Yeah, it's like the dot. With this nothing, it's not a thing. Right, that seed, if we went to another universe, from that seed, we could put it in, and this whole earth could be reborn. From nothing. Very important to understand that. Then when we finish the Heart Sutra, we want to understand the power of blessings, the power of our meditation, and if we have any obstacles, any difficulties, we're going to go into the emptiness. So you need to meditate on the emptiness. One of the best ways to meditate on emptiness is sound. Yeah. So when we clap, we feel that the problem we have goes into emptiness, the sound of the clap, and it's dissolving into emptiness. And with each clap, we feel that it's just completely removing. But as we go into the clap, we try and recognize, does the sound come from my right hand, my left hand, the movement? Where is the sound? Can it be found separately? Is it outside consciousness? And it cannot be found. Like it's an experience, much more like with the sound. You say like the tick of a clock. Where is it? Is it the hammer? Is it the mechanism? Without the mechanism, there's the hammer. And it's like, where is the sound? Where is it located? Is it outside of your consciousness? What is the sound? Where is it? You find it. Is it a wave? Where's the wave? Is the wave in the clock? Is it the wave in the thing that hits? Is it the mechanism? Then you realize the whole universe is included in this phenomenon, this echo that arises in your consciousness. And when we go into this phenomenon of what we think the sound is, it disappears. So when we have coming up with hindrances or problems, is the problem the person's arm? Is it their arm? Is it their face? Is it their tongue? Is it the sounds that come out of them? Is it my mind? Is it the consciousness? Where is the trouble? And we clap and dissolve it into emptiness and feel also through the power of the Heart Sutra and the power of the holy words, we're removing our hindrances because they're just arising in consciousness. No other place. And I'll try and we'll see what happens if we can get this to Hakim to maybe get, I don't know, maybe like a tune for the verses and at some point. But I'm going to tweak the Heart Sutra so a little bit because just to make sure it's not a copyrighted translation and someone, I don't know if you can copyright the Heart Sutra. I'm sure there's someone's tried, but I don't know if you get into the translations. Most of them are very similar, but there's little differences. So if I tweak it enough, then it won't get. But that particular translation doesn't have my favorite line. So it says, excellent, excellent son of noble family. My favorite line is good, good, oh son of the lineage. There's a line that just stuck with me. I'm gonna put it back in. So that's the practice we will do in the book. It talks about the four maras, the four demons, and then we have Satan. In the Buddhist world, it's called Mara. He doesn't, and there's some nice stories which is worth reading, especially people putting the effort in to get the teachings and like cutting his own flesh off so he can get offerings to offer to a spiritual guide too. Because to go to the spiritual guide and ask for teachings without offering is incomprehensible to like a seeker in those days on the truth. And Kesha likes to put in completely outrageous, which is just like totally outrageous. And like when we go into the start of the Heart Sutra and they gathered it and like he says it's called Vulture Peak Mountain because all these vultures came. But he said all the vultures were not vultures, they're celestial beings, bodhisattvas manifesting in the form of vultures. So they look like vultures to ordinary beings, but from the cosmic point of view, they're bodhisattvas arising to hear the Heart Sutra. So he's like completely just challenging your perceptual awareness of what things are, what Buddha is. And it's like he says that the gods came down, and it's like he's got the line in there that human beings appear like smelly toads to gods. He said they're like, you have to kind of be around these. If you've been with a lot of people recently in the temple, we used to laugh. There's always someone coughing. We smell, right? Smell coughing and sweating and just like, and the gods like beings of light. It's like, yeah, like the jinn. It's just like, ugh. So Buddha could see the pride of the gods and his company. So he outshone them like the sun outshines fireflies, and their pride just went. It's like, and his light went across through like the entire universe, and he's like in that absorption of just. And through that power, then Avalokiteshvara actually says the words. And we're like, what's that got to do with me? These are things to challenge our perceptions and understanding of what. You don't exist. So why couldn't it be? It's irrelevant. Oh, I couldn't. You don't exist. Yeah, you've got something rattling around in your brain right now. No one else in the world is related. It doesn't exist. It's got nothing to do with your, like the blood going through your veins in your neck at the moment, your sense of self, right? Nothing. It's just a thought in your mind. You're inseparable from the universe. So How can you shine throughout the universe? You are shining throughout the universe. It's not something you need to do. Right? There's like lots of, we just don't know. That's where some, as you go more into it, and if you have this perspective, don't hold on to it like a philosophy. Go, things are empty and blah, blah, blah. It's just, what we want is more and more. It's like, who am I? What? Like, what is going on? And stop using as much as you can in your mind nouns. This is what the Heart Sutra is going to attack. Is there's no nouns in existence. That's what inherent existence does. It makes nouns. It's like, that's Shivali. No, it isn't. So you just think of someone. It's like a snapshot just now of what you think someone is. It's a noun. They're like that. But actually, there's like, it's the food coming into their body, which is digesting and putting the blood sort of thing. It's the air coming in through the thing. The body's completely changing every moment. Everything. This thing of their mind is thoughts are just going through them. This thing, yeah, you cannot find who they are. It's this ever shifting part of the universe. How can you be separate from anything else? Because you're influencing the airwaves around you, which are moving all things like a big ocean of interconnectivity. And you go, that's what you are. This freeze frame image in your mind of what someone is. Or you go, that's a tree. And all it is the knowledge you maybe learned at school. You have a couple experiences with the tree. And it's gone, tree, done and dusted. But it's actually this, the universe treeing, yeah, this, the water flowing through it, the breath of the tree moving in and out, this mysterious being. You've got no idea what it is, but somehow you can perceive it. You're given the gift by God of conceiving what this is. And then that conception dissolving into a knowing of it all. And none of it is like what you think, like these nouns, that's that, you're that. And part of what Geshe-la's doing is moving you into this truth, because untruth makes you suffer. So when you think your mum is your mum, does it bring suffering? A lot of the time it does. But how much do you suffer when you think, my mother is Tara? It is an enlightened being who's just like, I am a consciousness, and everyone's a tulku, right? I'm a consciousness that entered into this body, and I've got lost in this identity. But this being, who we're going to call Tara, entered into the body, yeah, because this being has meditated on compassion for 7 billion years. Yeah. And has been working with me for the last 25 lifetimes. And has now got the chance, karmically, to enter into the body of the mother, to give birth to me, to look after me, to guide me to the Heart Sutra. Yeah. My mother shouted at me, and this time, to change the karmic pattern, because it's an omniscient being. So it knows if I shout at my child in this moment, it will change the course of her life. So she will end up listening to the Heart Sutra and start to waken up to divine consciousness and be free from suffering forever. How is it to relate to your mum like that? And do you know if it's true or not? Prove it. Prove your mum isn't Tara. You're going to cut a body open and, well, not cut a body open. Can't find Tara. prove it, because the appearances are only dependent on your karma. Yeah. When people met Milarepa, this guy met Milarepa, and he'd just seen this old man on the ground. He said, "Oh, before I'd heard so much about him, I was waiting to, see this amazing being. It's just this old guy on the ground." That's what he's seen. That was his karma. Milarepa is like most enlightened beings that's ever lived. It's like totally changed the face of Tibet. Not for this guy. So prove your mother isn't Tara. Prove it. And if we know the story of Khadir, then Khadir will murder babies to change the course of your karma to get you back to God. But you might think it's a baby, but that baby was also an emanation of God in order to shake you up. You don't know this or not. It's complete trust in the will of Allah. But what's it like? This is the challenge that Geshe-la's providing. What's it like to start perceiving in this way? And whoever you meet when you walk down the street is your mother. And it's like, or is it you're just going to stick to your nouns in your mind, your fixed identities of people? They're like that because they said this to me. And you just relate to them as your current ego reflection and your current ego needs. Oh, I don't like the way they spoke to me, I don't like them anymore. It's like one of my favorite verses, the most impactful verses from Shantideva. One moment they are friends, the next moment they are enemies. Since they become angry in joyful situations, it's difficult to please ordinary beings. Shantideva was on it, that was like 1,000 years ago, right? It's probably worse now. All it takes, you be friends for 10 years, just say one thing or do something, no, I don't like them. Then the enemy mind comes in. And the situation you're in is utter luxury. And the mind is like, Osho says, rocks on the heart. And it just moans and complains. It's just one whiff of not getting what it wants, the ego, and it's just hatred. Enemy. Then that's all you see that person, and then all the good deeds are forgotten. All the years of friendship are forgotten. Just because they've done one thing against your ego. Whilst you're living in absolute luxury, like top 10% on the planet. Such a joyful situation to learn God, to be God, and someone does one little thing. And we ourselves understand that we are confused all the time. We're getting things wrong all the time. But if someone else gets something wrong, yeah. And you just want to be careful. See what it's like as this spiritual teacher with this student, and it's like, what it's like is like you're alcoholics. Yeah. And you can look at it that you're just like really unpleasant alcoholics. And you're getting angry all the time. You're getting drunk every day. Yeah. Around the person trying to tell you you're addicted. Now, it's difficult to tell someone they're addicted to something. People do not like to be told. Yeah. And you can be with them for years. They're drunk every day and you're sober. Yeah. If you tell them you're a drunk, and maybe they're there to get better, maybe. But then it's like you're down the pub with them. Yeah, but the whole time you don't say anything about their behaviour. Only when it gets really bad. You're just patient. They're drunk again, and they're saying horrible things, and you're just patient. They're drunk again, they're saying horrible things, and you're patient. And you're telling them that they're a dick. No, I'm not. No, 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 I'm not. And they go, oh, I am more. And there's this whole drama and story. And then you go down the pub, and you have a drink, and they're like, you're drinking! That's what the mind's like. It just cannot wait to blame. And you have to be very careful you don't do that with the spiritual guide or the spiritual path. You understand. You can go and have a pint, and you're not an alcoholic. And there can be various reasons why you're having one drink. But even so, let's say you do have a drink. The accusational mind of an alcoholic that's been drinking for 10 years and you're trying to help them is madness. But that's what we can be like, right? One moment they are friends, the next moment they are enemies. Since they become angry in joyful situations, it's difficult to please ordinary beings. This is why we have to develop the perfection of patience. As a Buddha. Yeah, you just anything can set someone off. Yeah. Someone left the teachings because the teacher blinks. Imagine not following through on these, and yes, a teacher blinks because they read somewhere that if you're blinking, it means you're thinking, and they should have no thoughts. Just one small thing. That guy was with Osho he was Osho's bodyguard. He was with him for years. And he said, when Osho came to America, he said, I'm the guru for America. And he says, I didn't like that. It was egoistic. And then from that moment, he went behind his back and became like a Judas. Even though he said the whole time he was with Osho, it was like being in heaven, and Osho was like absolutely on it with every single person he met, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, every single day for 7 years, just being with people and blessing them, with not one slip. This guy said, and he made one comment he didn't like, and he was out. You've done something like that? You've been friends with someone for ages, and they say one thing you don't like. The mind's horrible. When it's when it is the master, when the ego is the master, it is not a pleasant little ruler. It's a little dictator, isn't it? It wants things its way, whenever it wants, all the time, my way. You've got to say things you like. If you don't say things you like, you're out, you're out. You want to put rocks on top of them, crush them, their car can crash. You'll shout at them in their car. And it's like, oh, I want this, I want that. Then you'll be like, I'll be nice to this person. You think you're being genuine. It's like, but you're going to get something from them. You're going to get something. You're going to get companionship from them. I'll get that. Oh, I like that. Or maybe by association, I'll meet other people. Isn't it? That's not you. That's the good news, right? That's the point. You stop identifying with it. Who wants to identify with that? If we have to contemplate these things to understand how horrible it is, to give us the energy to remember how beautiful it is that if someone is experiencing difficulty and we're patient, and the guy cut us off in the car, and then just by coincidence we meet them at the petrol station, you realize that he's just lost his son. How glad you were patient. And what's it like to be someone who is having difficulties, and you can sit there and be a solid force for them, and a year later they come back to you and go, you saved my life. That time I came to you and you didn't bite back, you didn't bark back, you listened to me. It means so much. There are so many moments that you'll come across someone where if you're just being true, and you're going about your work, you'll do something and it will have such an effect on someone, you can't believe it. It's only sometimes like we find out that this person said this or that. Like, oh, that when you were just quiet, that moment, it really changed the way I think about things. And what's it like to develop that quality of self-love, where we love our life, right? We wake up in the morning and go, I love life. I love being alive. Oh, it's not enough days to practice, to love, to give, to share, to create, to find the truth, to fall into this ocean of fathomless understanding of the infinite levels of God that just goes on and on and on for infinity. And just to hear about it again and again, just it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. I've said it before, but it's worth saying again. When, like, Venerable Geshe had been teaching at the, must have been teaching for about 7 years. I think it was 7 years. Could have been 1980 or 1984. I think it was 1984. And his teacher, Song Rinpoche, came over. I think it was 94. And he's been teaching. He was teaching every day. And I said they had to tell him about the concept about weekends. like, can you please give us a break? We can't handle it. Because they don't have weekends in Tibet. It's just like you just do Dharma every day, right? What, are you going to go on holiday to the yaks? So it's like, it's just Dharma. You just every day. This is what you do. But we've been teaching for 7 years. And he's a Geshe, so it's like, I mean, he studied just so much, memorized. When you do your Geshe test, it's like 3 days of just people debating and asking you questions on these subtle points of emptiness and blah, 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 you know, heard all the teachings. Blah, blah. And his teacher came, Song Rinpoche, gave a teaching on the most basic teachings on compassion. Yeah, like beginners. And Gen Tupton looked over at Geshe and he's just bawling. Yeah, it's not dead words. Yeah, he's heard it 1 billion times, but it's just going deeper. Love all living beings. Just whatever, maybe another reminder to love every living being in the cosmos. You're not sitting there going, right, I've got to love every living being. Oh, I've heard that. I know I've got. Do you know what I mean? When you're hearing it, it's just like you go into the experience of it. That life is fathomless beauty. Its nature is love. God is love, says Jesus. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahman. Yeah, Ya Rahman means Samantabhadra, the all good one. Like, just, it's another name for Allah. It's a name you're not allowed to use for a child. It's just the nature of the universe is love. The very fabric of it, the very reason for its existence is this love. And you fall into that ocean. And all you need to do is stop relating to this little dweezil demon that's just out for itself, which doesn't make you happy in any way, does it? It just doesn't. We're just happy when you love. It's so easy. Like, I love is this other way to understand emptiness. Yeah. The interconnectedness of all things. You're not separate. It's not you against the world. What a relief. Listen to Jesus. If I look after the birds, if I look after the flowers, what to say of my greatest creation? Am I not going to look out for you? The whole thing is for you. It's not you against the world. Stop fighting God. That's what Buddha's saying. Buddha doesn't use the word God because he says you'll get an image of you'll make God a noun. As if you know him because you hear the word. The word fire is not fire. The word God is not God. Just a mere finger. It's like come. It's like come to the edge of the cliff and jump into the ocean. That's the invitation. But also samsara, it says like there's a pack of wild dogs, wild wolves coming to eat you. There's hungry lions at the bottom, and you tumble on the cliff and you're holding onto this branch, and you see that these mice are chewing away at the branch you're holding onto. That's death awareness. Like that's samsara. There's no. But we want to look and understand from the perspective that it's just an ocean of bliss, an ocean of love. All you need to do is die. And now you're going to die. So do it now. And come into Allah consciously in this body. As pure consciousness, which you already are. How could you be anything else? How could you be anywhere else that this whole thing is God's body? Stop thinking. When we do this meditation, stop thinking, go into this experience of it. There's no self. There just is presence. Yahoo. It's like, oh, he, which is she and he. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Before we go. Yep, I'll have to figure out some schedule for doing questions because it's important that you talk about these things and try and formulate it. Probably start the Saturday classes again next week and that's more fun. Like get to the body some more light and ask anything then. I think maybe we'll do it every second week, maybe. So the homework for next week will be, of course, you can read the chapter on overcoming hindrances if you so wish, but to read the first 14, 16 pages. I need to do the schedule and then maybe do it in sections. But it's difficult to do it like in that kind of formula when we go into this stuff, because when we get into the form is empty, emptiness is form, then we're getting into the real juice. And especially like no eye, no ear, no what's going on, man? So I hope you have fun, and I hope I've emphasized enough that this is not a philosophy, but we're using our mind, and this very helpful understanding of just looking at the eye will help us in our Dzogchen practice. It's like just weakening it all the time until it doesn't stop our resting in consciousness. That's our main problem. We've all experienced, and all of you here have experienced pure awareness. But we can't keep it. We keep coming back. But the more you drill down into the false self, the more you'll be able to keep that space. There'll be just less of a pull because you'll know it's not true. Then it's just habit. That's the phase where I want to get. It's just habit, not like it doesn't. It's just, oh, it's habit. Oh, it's gone back there. It's not true. That's the main practice of Dzogchen is like once you've had the insight, is to hold, is to maintain it. Like we go right back to the start of the class. You are a Buddha. Get that into your blood and bones, and that maintaining that sense. That's what it's all about. Yeah. The initial thing's actually quite easy, just realizing consciousness. 24/7, that's the hard thing, isn't it? Like just not going back into the self, right? And that's fine. We're gonna, like I was saying, we're going to. We're always looking. We're always learning. We always want to be learning when we go back. Where did that suffering come from? Did it come from that person, or did it come from me going back into my lower identity? Always looking. You're like a laboratory of experimentation. No belief. Do not believe in these things. At some point, let me spoil the end, you will realize everything you're doing with your mind cannot be it. Logic itself will just go. Then you can go into no mind, because you don't trust the mind. You realize the mind itself cannot be the tool which gets me there. But we have to use it, and we have to go through it, just as we have to develop will, because we are in the body. And me wants to become enlightened, right? We're just a fact. So we have to follow the path. It's just wise to follow the path. So that's 9:29. And so we'll finish with a little dedication that we've got on our thing. By these virtues and meditations, may I realize the perfection of wisdom. May I deepen into the transcendent beyond and attain union with the Beloved. May all beings be born from the Blessed Mother and awaken as enlightened beings. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Amen. So, thank you very much. God bless you and your family. And I will try and get this image up as well for Prajna Paramita, but you can just look it up, find your own one that you like. Prajna Paramita. There you go. So, sleep well.